All right, so I'm going to be doing another comic review and another book sent to me by my good friend Chris. Thank you as always, brother. And today we're going to be talking about Absolute Superman, Last Dust of Krypton. I have been really loving the Absolute line. Real quick before I go into the actual review itself, I do want to stress that, like, while I've been really loving, like, Absolute Batman and Wonder Woman, and we'll get into this a bit in a moment, I know some people have been talking about, like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if the Absolute Universe replaced the DC Universe? And to that I say no, hard pass. I think they're, like, for a multitude of reasons. I think that, like, we don't want a New 52 the whole thing. Like, we don't want to do another New 52 kind of scenario. I don't think anyone wants that. And the other major thing that I do have to stress is that, you know, this whole thing is, like, I like the variation. It never hurts to have variation in your books. It's kind of like why I never like the idea when people say the Ultimate Universe should replace the Marvel Universe. Because, yeah, sometimes you just like like, it's good to have the original thing and a new thing to appreciate the old thing. Does that make any sense? I don't know. But like I'm saying, I want the main DC universe and I want the Absolute Universe. I know they're going to eventually meet. The Absolute and main DC universe are going to meet at some point, but I hope this event doesn't fuse the two together and we just get, you know, an Absolute DC universe forever. I think that's a really bad idea. Because I guarantee you in, like, 10 years, in, like, if that happens, 5 years, they're just going to reboot it and put everything back again. So that's what I'm saying. Anyway, so let's get into this book, Absolute Superman. So, Absolute Superman is written by Jason Aaron with artwork by Rafael Sandoval with Ulysses Arreola. I cannot pronounce. I completely fucked that name up. But yeah, so as you guys are aware, in the Absolute Universe, essentially what's happened is that Darkseid birthed a new universe without, like, hope and taking away certain things from different characters. Like with Absolute Batman, it's just Bruce isn't a millionaire or a billionaire and he depends on, like, you know, his wits than anything else. Diana was raised in the underworld and away from the Amazons. I think he took some extra time in trying to fuck up Superman. I really do feel like he took some extra time in trying to fuck up Clark's life. It really does feel like that. So in here, we follow two different stories of this comic. In one half, we follow Clark on Earth. He's grown up. He doesn't have a Fortress of Solitude. He doesn't have his parents, either Earth or Kryptonian. And his suit is called Soul, which is a nanite-infused Kryptonian costume that helps control his abilities. And Clark is at war with a government-hired company called Lazarus. If you can probably guess where... I'm not going to spoil who the villain is, but, like, the name Lazarus probably says enough, right? Like, even if you haven't read the book, saying the name Lazarus, I just kind of gave you the name of who the overarching villain is, which shockingly is not Lex. I was actually surprised when that reveal was, like, the moment they said Lazarus in the corporate. I'm just gonna fucking say it. You guys already know. It's Ra's al Ghul. Like, they're making Ra's al Ghul a Superman villain. In this, he's still, like, he's now a billionaire and he's a religious fanatic. So I'm curious to see how that goes. But yeah, we don't have an Absolute Luthor, at least not in the comics yet, to my knowledge. And remember, I am reading in trade, so that could change. And the other thing is that really, we also have we have the new version of Brainiac, who's treated in the Lazarus Corporation as, like, an algorithm, but really he's a dude. We don't know if he's an alien or if something else. Maybe he's like the original versions of Brainiac where it was a dude. Who knows? He is talking like a madman, though. And yeah, so the Earth stuff is basically Clark at war with the Lazarus Corporation, and there's a reason why. And that goes to the other divergence in the comic. And that the other thing is that Clark was, Kal-El, when Kal-El saw the destruction of Krypton, he was a boy. He was just a boy. He wasn't an infant who never knew his world. In here, the Elves were basically shamed laborers. They were members of high society, but they spoke up against, you know, the higher powers that be, and the Science Council punished them for it, leading to them living country life. So Cal never really got to experience, he actually got to experience Krypton in this continuity and was there during the final days of the Kryptonian destruction, which in here was caused by climate change caused by the government. If you haven't guessed what this book is mainly about, I pity you because you didn't catch the subtlety. So yeah, Clark's especially going after Lazarus because he sees so much of the Science Council in there, and he's trying to help as many people as he can. But yeah, so also the whole thing of like the S is like it's a mark of shame on Krypton, and I'm like, Jesus God, Darkseid, like I know you hate Clark more than anyone else in this universe, in the DC universe, but like, come on, man. Anyway, so the comic is pretty good. Is it my favorite of the Absolute universe? I have to be also honest that it took me a little bit because it started out kind of slow, and also the book kind of had these moments where I was like, you're not being subtle, Jason, which is weird because he's actually pretty good at it. I will say that my friend Jason Voorhees, funny enough, another Jason Voorhees 2011, he's been reading this book first, and he said that like he would love to see Jason Aaron do a Transformers book. And I'm kind of like, I don't know. I feel like he's better off at doing fantasy epics than he is sci-fi. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like the idea of like his costume is powered by Krypton and it's like an AI, but like and also maybe it's because I'm burnt out on dark and gritty Superman, but here it's thankfully a change where Clark is still Clark. Like he's still like, he's still hopeful and whatnot, but there is a bit of bitterness to him. Like this is a guy who still feels like this ounce of like bitterness because of everything that happened, especially when he arrived on Earth. I'm not going to spoil that much, so you guys can read for yourselves. Yeah, is it still good? I like it. I really do like it, but it was kind of a slow build for me. I do like also the version of the Peacemakers here, where the Peacemakers are like the private army of Lazarus Corp, and we do have Christopher Smith, the actual Peacemaker, who's an actual nut job. So I'm glad he brought that up. And yes, Lois Lane in here does work for Lazarus, and in here she's a soldier who is working for Lazarus, but after her encounter with Clark, she basically is having her opinion change ever so slowly. There is also like the Omega Men, who are in this continuity freedom fighters with technology. I have an idea of who Omega Prime is. I think it's Lana Lang, but I'm not 100% on that. Maybe it's Lena Luthor. Who knows? But I think it's one of those two. And Jimmy Olsen's here, and I do like this version, but like I feel like there are some changes that are just way too drastic in some cases, but I do like this book. Is it my favorite of the three? No, that title still goes to Absolute Wonder Woman, and I do feel like I'm gonna like Volume 2 a lot more on Absolute Superman. So I do want to keep reading this. It was just kind of a slow build, and also like maybe it's just also like a personal thing that I'm kind of burnt out on Dark Superman, but thankfully that wasn't the case here. This is still Clark. He's just bitter. He's hopeful, but he's a little more cynical, but still wants to be proven wrong about his cynicism. So I do like this book, and I do recommend it. Like I said, is it my favorite of the Absolute line so far? I would say it's in third place. Absolute Batman at number 2, Absolute Wonder Woman at number 1. But I do recommend this, and I do want to keep reading Absolute Superman, because I'm really curious to see where we're going to go when we start bringing in like when we see more of Absolute Brainiac, as well as like what are we going to do with Luthor? How is like other villains going to be incorporated? What's Perry White going to be like? Yeah. So yeah, I do recommend Absolute Superman: Last Dust of Krypton. But yeah, you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of Absolute Superman? Did you guys like it, hate it? Comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope y'all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.